Hello, everybody. It's Mr. Thornborough. I hope you all had a good March break. I'm actually recording this on Friday after you've all gone home, and this is a little exercise that we did in Adobe InDesign that day. It was just the basics, but half the class was missing, and you've had March break, and you've all kind of forgotten everything. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to do a quick little. I'm going to throw this away, and I'm just going to do a quick review of InDesign. Okay. Let's close that down and do that, and actually I'm going to shut it right down. So InDesign is in the lab folder. It's this guy right here. And InDesign is the industry standard for any type of page layout. I've designed 100-page catalogs. I've done magazines, advertisements, billboards, you name it. When it comes to laying out a page, InDesign is the tool. What you want to do with InDesign, I'm just going to boot it up. What InDesign does is that it compiles all, say if you do like a fancy graphic in Photoshop and you want to bring it in, or if you do like a fancy logo or title of your magazine in Illustrator, you bring all that artwork into your page layout program, and then you add the type and you just put it all together. So those of you who have done like movies, it's kind of like you do all your fancy stuff uh, in After Effects, and then you bring it into Premiere to put it all together. So let's go ahead and make a new document. Now, when you make a new document, the default for you, this is going to look all really foreign. This is going to be in picas, which is kind of like a printer printer type of measurement, but it shouldn't actually be there. It's the way that these computers are set up. We are locked out of that. For me fixing that, so I just have to tell you how to fix it. So when this comes up, and this is going to be all kind of gobbledygook, I've already fixed it here. What you got to do is you got to change your preferences of the program, okay? So what you got to do is just go to Edit, Preferences, and we can go to any one of these, but Units and Increments. And this is, you got to switch this from picas to inches, and the same on this one, okay? And then when you actually open this up and you go File and Make a New Document, this is actually going to make sense. It's actually going to be in inches. Now, InDesign is, like I said, you can do all these magazines or catalogs or just one-page advertisements in this program. So if I were to just go number of pages in my magazine, if I look at it and I say like 50 pages, then if I were to hit OK, and I have this facing pages thing tapped, if I hit OK and I take a look at it and I zoom back, like I actually have a 50-page book here. But we don't want to do that. All I'm going to ask you to do is just do a 8.5 by 11. But the only thing I'm going to do is we're going to change it to 3 columns. So you're going to have 3 columns of text. And then we just hit OK, and we have our just one-page document. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make some 3 text boxes like you saw in right off the bat, and I'm going to have a title, and then I'm just going to import a picture, and then I want you guys to do that. Okay, you're just going to go away, and you're going to do this, and you're going to hand it in for me to grade. So the first thing you're going to do is you got to make some text boxes. So I'm just going to make a text box like that, and so I just clicked on the type tool. That should be familiar with Photoshop. And I'm just going to type, and we're going to call it the Medway Magnet. And that's actually the name of our yearbook for that, for those of you who didn't know. And I'm just going to go up here, and these are all your type attributes. This changes up here depending on what tool that you have selected. And so I'm just going to go to the type tool, and I'm just going to pick a nice bold font, and I'm going to go to my good old Impact. So let's blow that up to a better size, because that's going to be the title of our little tiny one-page newsletter that we're making right here. And so I'm going to blow that up to, and I could either go like one at a time there, but I know about 60-ish ought to be, no, that's not even good enough. Let's go 90. There we go. Now that's getting cut off there. I can make that a little bit bigger so it still follows in my line, but let's bring that down to about there. I just kind of want to line it up with my guidelines there. It's more important that the type actually lines up with your guidelines than the actual text box. Because like really, when you go to preview mode, which I haven't even shown yet, like that the type is actually lining up with your guidelines, and because not text boxes. So let's go add some more text boxes. And I'm just going to draw a text box, clicking on the type tool and drawing a text box. Now I could draw another one here, or I can actually just like in Photoshop or the other programs, I can either go copy and then paste one back down and just drop that down. I just did Control C and Control V. Or just like in Photoshop, when you want to duplicate something, you just hold down the Alt key and then you just drag it on over. Okay. Now, I want to introduce you to some dummy type. So because as graphic designers, you are not asked to type. You are asked to just make the pretty pictures, and there's a copywriter that actually writes it. So what I'm going to do for now, just for the sake of this, I'm going to go to, and I want you to do the same, we're going to just go to Google, and you are going to type in lorem ipsum, LORUMIPSUM. And what this is just all, it's just placeholder type. You just use it for this exact purpose. When I was doing design, what we would have to show like a magazine layout or a brochure to a client before it was actually even written. So we would have to lay the thing out and show, hey, this is what it's going to look like. And he says, oh, that's great. And we want it to say this. Oh, good. Let's write that. So you got to sell it before you actually produce it. So I'm going to produce, let's see, 5 paragraphs here. So let's generate that. And then I'm just going to copy it. Now you'll see that there's vowels and there's consonants and commas and periods and paragraphs. Then you can just select all that, and it doesn't mean anything. Just like selecting files, all I did right there, in case you're wondering, I selected up here my cursor, I held down the Shift key, and I clicked down here. It's kind of a little bit easier than just clicking and dragging when you have to scroll. So here, I'll do that. I'll go click there, go to the top, hold down my Shift key, Control C to copy, go back to InDesign, and I click on my type tool, click here, and then Control V to paste. Now, you're going to see here that there's too much type for my text box. Okay, so I can make my text box bigger, and you'll see that there's more type there. This is like a little error, this little black box here. It's a little error. It says, hey, you've got too much type, and that's a good error for graphic designers, because when you actually have copy that's written, you don't want to cut off the last couple of sentences. So what I want to do is I want to have this text automatically flow into that column and automatically flow into this column. And there's other ways that I can do it automatically, so I don't have to do this manually, but I'm just going to show you this now. So all I got to do is this little arrow button. All I got to do is click on that, and then you'll see, hey, there's this little icon with text on it. So click on the new text box, and then all that automatically flows to the next text box. Okay, and so let's keep on going. No, I didn't get it. Oh, undo. There we go. And then click over here, and then we're good. So now you can see here, that's perfect. Okay, now all I want to do, I'm almost there. I want to insert a picture, and that's like a whole thing unto itself. And let's just get to it. I'm going to go File and Place. Now you might be used to commands like when you want to import something. And yes, this is exactly like importing something. It's just another word that means the same thing. It's a different program. It's just because programs have different histories. This used to be owned by a different company. Adobe bought this company, and they had their own word for this. So that's why it's like that. And Adobe, just people don't like change, so that's why it's still place and not import. So let's go place, and I want to place a picture into my magazine. And this is just my pictures, and I'm just going to go grab, I think I just had, let's see, I got a bunch of stuff, and I'm just going to grab, there's a picture of my dog. That's a safe thing to use. Okay, so you can see here I did that, and it's wanting me to place it somewhere, so I'm just going to place it out in nowhere land over here. And there's a few things that I want to bring to your attention about working with pictures in InDesign. I'm going to zoom into this to kind of bring this forward here. Now you notice that it's really low resolution. I hope you can see that. It's really pixelated. Now, and this is because InDesign, it's used to dealing, or it can deal with like 100-page files, 100-page catalogs, or whichever. And those files can be quite huge, bog the computer down, and crash it. So it loads down a low resolution preview of the picture, and then it's always sourcing those files. So like, for example, if I click on links over here, see, this is the program is linking to that picture. So that means now, though, that if I were to move this picture in my Finder, in my pictures, or I give it a different name in my computer, then InDesign won't be able to find it anymore, okay? And that's because, like I said, it's because when files get so huge that it's just easier on the computer just to source these files when it needs it, or when it prints it, okay? Whereas Microsoft Word just kind of embeds everything. You'd never be able to do like a 100-page catalog in Microsoft Word. So let's collapse that. Now, the other thing I want to let you know is that there's these arrow tools. There's the solid one, which is called the selection tool, and this is the direct selection tool. You know, you can call them the black arrow, the white arrow. I call it like the hollow arrow tool, whatever. And there's also the free transform tool, which you will remember from Photoshop, except instead of going edit and free transform, there's actually a button for it, so that's pretty smart. When I click on the arrow tool, the black one, and if I click on this, I get my anchors. Now you might think that I'm going to shrink the picture when I do that, but it doesn't. There's like two portions of a picture. There's the box that holds it, and then there's the picture inside. And what I mean by that is that if I click that and I drag this in, I'm actually cropping into the picture. Okay, there's no picture over there. I'm actually cropping into the picture. And then if I click on the white arrow, and if I click and hold down on this, then you can actually manipulate the picture inside the box. And I can scale that down. Got to hold down the shift key to keep it proportional. Okay. Now, so just to review, black arrow tool controls the box holding the picture. The white one is the picture within the box, okay? And now the free transform tool, I'm sure you can guess what that means. Let's click off of it and then go to the free transform. If I click on there we go, go to free transform, then it just actually selects the whole thing and scales it up and down, okay? Holding down the shift key, it keeps it proportional, okay? So that's how that works. I'm glad it's kind of a video because you can actually go to it and review it on your own. Let's go to our magazine, and we're going to, I'm going to go View and fit the whole page in the window. Control 0 is the quick key, and it just zooms back to the whole page. I want to bring the dog picture into here. I'm going to blow it up nice and big, holding it there, and it's going to be, there's my feature right there. Now, unfortunately, what you see here is the type is running in behind the picture. I move this, and I'm actually blocking out some of the words. I want the text to run around this picture, and so it's very easy. All I do is I do that with the text wrap dialog box. Let's go get that. It's at the window text wrap. Okay. And then you'll see here there's it says no text wrap. It's got like little blocks and the lines going through it. So if I click on this one, wrap around bounding box, like there you go. And so now if I move it, you'll see that it's actually moving the text. Okay. Now this is butted right up to the type. And so if I just increase that, and they're all linked so that it does them all at the same time, you can increase the text. Okay. Now you do see all these little guidelines around it here. If I want to go back into preview, I showed you a little bit of that earlier. Just go into preview mode. And that's the way the magazine's going to look when you actually print it off. Okay. And yes, you can work in this mode any way you want. It's just, you can toggle back and forth. Actually, if you just hit the letter W, it toggles back and forth. Okay? So what I want you to do is let's hand that in. And I do want you to hand it in for marks. There's a little exercise. Just go File. And I just want you to save it as. You don't need to export it to anything yet. I'll show you about that later. Go Save As. Let's go to the hand in folder. And then go to Me. Why isn't it going to Me? Okay, well, I'll do it this way then. And then go to Comtech, and then InDesign exercise, first one. And a bunch of you have done it already. That's great. Like I said, half the class was missing it the other day, and so I'll just do mine. Half the class was absent the other day, I mean. So then you're just going to hand that in like that, and you're good. Okay, so on to your new assignment. We'll do that in the next video.